Losers let things happen. Winners make things happen. So, with this positive thought, a very good morning to all my dear students. I, Shreya Jadhav, welcome you all to my e-learning channel. And today we are going to learn English Grade 9, Chapter 2, The Sound of Music, Part 2, Bismillah Khan. In the previous video, you have gone through the first part of Evelyn, how she has achieved such a tremendous success in her life, being a musician. So, in today's lecture, we are going to go through the life of Bismillah Khan. Setting. Think of Shehnai, and the first thing you will probably imagine is a wedding or a similar occasion or function. The next would probably be Ustad Bismillah Khan, the Shehnai maestro, playing this instrument. Introduction for answers. So, dear students, whenever you write down your question answers, whether it is in your fair book or whether you write it down in your examinations or for your test, always remember that you are supposed to first write down the intro. This makes a good impact. Prose. Prose name, The Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. Author's name, you will prepare a column but you will not write the name over there. The author's name is not there. Genre, story. Summary. Think of Shehnai and the first thing you will probably imagine would be Ustad Bismillah Khan, the Shehnai maestro, playing this instrument. So this is introduction for your answers. Now let us go through the reading and explanation of the chapter. Part 2, The Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. Before you read, do you know these people? What instrument do they play? These all are Indian instruments. Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of musical instrument called pungi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pungi became the generic name for redded noisemakers. Few had thought it would one day be revived. A barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to royal palace decided to improve the tonal quality of pungi. He chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was no longer and broader than the pungi, and made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. When he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes, soft and melodious sounds were heard. So over here, this is the introduction. We can see over here that when Emperor Aurangzeb ruled at that time, he banned pungi. That is a musical instrument. What was the reason that he banned? Because that pungi has very unpleasant sound, and it was something that this was being regarded as a noise maker. Moreover to that, one professional musician family family was allowed to the royal palace, and they have decided that they would make some sort of no changes in quality of the pungi, and they made a flute sort of thing that was, or that pipe had 7 holes on the body, and they played it like in opening and closing of some holes a soft and melodious sounds were produced. He played the instrument before royalty, and everyone was impressed. The instrument, so different from pungi, had to be given a new name. As the story goes, since it was first played in Shah's chamber and was played by a nai, that is barber, the instrument was named the Shehnai. Now just imagine that it was a very melodious music or sound being produced, and because of that thing everyone in the palace was impressed, and it was that a new name of pungi was to be given because this sound was really very pleasant, and because it was first time played in Shah's chamber, and moreover to that it was being played by a nai, it means a barber. Because of that reason, this instrument is given a new name called Shehnai. Over here you can see that on the left hand side you can see the image of pungi, and on the right hand side you can see the photograph or image of Shehnai. These two are so different. The second paragraph. The sound of Shehnai began to be considered auspicious, and for this reason it is still played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. In the past, the Shehnai was part of Naubat or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. Till recently, it was used only in temples and weddings. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. So here, after the instrument was named Shehnai, it was considered, or that Shehnai was considered really very auspicious, means it would bring a good fortune, and it was like that in North Indian wedding, Shehnai was an indispensable part, means without that the work would be or cannot be done. It was an incomplete thing. In past, the Shehnai was a part of Naubat in the 9 instruments found at the royal courts. Until recent time, these Shehnai are being played in temples and weddings, and the credit for bringing this instrument in classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. As a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played Gilli Danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Demrun in Bihar. He would regularly go to the nearby Bihariji temple to sing the Bhojpuri Chittai or Chaita, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaj. This happened 80 years ago, and the little boy has travelled far to earn the highest civilian award in India, the Bharat Ratna. Now over here we are starting up with the story of Ustad Bismillah Khan. When Bismillah Khan was 5 years old, at that time he used to play Gilli Danda in Bihar. And where he was living in the nearby area, there was a Bihariji temple. And over there he would go to sing a Bhojpuri Chaita. And at the end, means after the Aarti, he would be getting a big laddu, which was almost 1.25 kg, and that reward or prize was given by the local Maharaj. And this happened almost 80 years ago. And this, just imagine, this little boy has earned the highest civilian award given in India, that is the Bharat Ratna. Born on 21st March 1916, Bismillah belongs to a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather, Rasoul Bakhsh Khan, was the Shehnai Nawaz of Bhojpur's King's Court. His father, Paigambar Bakhsh, and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So over here, Bismillah Khan was born on 21st March 1916. His family was a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather and father used to play in King's Court, and even the other paternal ancestors were also a great Shehnai player. So this art he has inherited from his ancestors. The young boy took to music early in life. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Banaras, now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated watching his uncles practice the Shehnai. Soon, Bismillah started accompanying his uncle Ali Bakhsh to Vishnu temple of Banaras, where Bakhsh was employed to play Shehnai. Ali Bakhsh would play Shehnai and Bismillah would sit captivated for hours on end. Slowly, he started getting lessons in playing the instrument and would sit practicing throughout the day. For years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangla Maiya and the banks of Ganga became the young apprentice's favorite haunts where he could practice in solitude. So over here at a very young age, he was fascinated towards music. He was attracted towards it. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to the maternal uncle's house in Varanasi, at that time he was very much fascinated watching his uncle practicing the Shehnai. Soon, Bismillah also started joining his uncle Ali Bakhsh. They both would go to Vishnu temple of Banaras and they would play Shehnai over there. When his uncle used to play, he would sit for hours and hours on end and would sit captivated over there listening to it. Slowly and gradually, Bismillah Khan also started getting lessons and he would sit practicing over there throughout the day. Moreover to that, for years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangla Maiya and the banks of Ganga had become a really special and favorite place for him. Why? Because over there he would practice in solitude. The flowing water of Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of Shehnai. So this Bismillah Khan, when he was at his early age, he was so much attracted towards it that slowly and gradually he started searching and inventing new ragas which were in earlier time not possible for the people to play on Shehnai. At the age of 14, Bismillah accompanied his uncle to Allahabad Music Conference. At the end of his recital, Ustad Fayaz Khan patted the young boy's back and said, "Work hard and you shall make it." With the opening of All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938 came Bismillah's big break. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. So, when Bismillah was 14 years old, he had gone to Allahabad music conference with his uncle. And at the end of the recital, over there, Ustad Fayaz Khan, he patted the young Bismillah's back and he said that keep working hard and one day he would make it. And he got his first big break with the opening of All India Radio in Lucknow, that is in the year 1938. And after that, Bismillah's Shehnai was often being heard on the radio. When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with his Shehnai. He poured his heart out into Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who later gave his famous Trusty with Destiny speech. So over here we can see that how when India got independence on 15th of August 1947, Bismillah Khan was the first Indian to greet the nation that India was independent now, and he poured out his heart and played Rag Kafi from the Red Fort, and the audience included Mahatma Gandhi as well as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Bismillah Khan has given many memorable performances both in India and abroad. His first trip abroad was to Afghanistan, where King Sahir Shah was so taken in by the maestro that he gifted him priceless Persian carpets and other sovereigns. Over here, after that, Bismillah Khan had given numerous performances in India as well as in abroad, and his first abroad trip was to Afghanistan, where he was invited by the King Sahir Shah, and he was so much taken aback, he was so much attracted, or we can say charmed by it, that he gave him priceless Persian carpets and other things in memory of the place or person or event. The King of Afghanistan was not the only one to be fascinated with Bismillah's music. Film director Vijay Bhatt was so impressed after hearing Bismillah play at a festival that he had named a film. Yes, now it was not only that he was being appreciated and applauded only in abroad, but also the people of India also gave him a lot of importance. And one of them is the film director Vijay Bhatt. He was so much impressed by the way Bismillah used to play that he had named a film after the instrument called Gunj Uthi Shehnai. The film was hit, and one of Bismillah Khan's composition, Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya, turned out to be a nationwide chart buster. Despite this huge success in a celluloid world, Bismillah Khan's ventures in film music was limited to two: Vijay Bhatt's Gunj Uthi Shehnai and Vikram Srinivasan's Kannada venture Sanadhi Appan. I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world, he says with emphasis. So over here he was really very talented, but in the film industry he had only two remarkable things, or his contribution to the music. And he says that he cannot come out, or he could not be included in that artificial or glamorous film world, because he was really very natural in his own work. Awards and recognition came thick and fast. Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in the United States of America. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in the Cannes Art Festival, and in the Osaka Trade Fair. So well known did he become internationally that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him, Tahir Mosque Ustad Bismillah Khan. So over here he had received his first, and he was the first Indian to be invited to the prestigious ceremony in the United States of America. Moreover to that, he was internationally also very famous, and one auditorium in Tehran was also named after him. National awards like Padma Shri, the Padma Bhushan, and the Padma Vibhushan were conferred on him. So conferred means it is given usually an award or a degree to a very respected person. So over here plenty of national awards were also given to him. In 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, and that is the Bharat Ratna, with the coveted award resting on his chest and his eyes glinting with rare happiness. He said, "All I would like to say is, teach your children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to learn our music." So when in 2001, when Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded with the highest civilian award, that is the Bharat Ratna, he was so happy, and that happiness was being glinted, means it was being seen in her eyes, and he was so happy. And at that time he told that to the people, of course, he told that you should teach your children music, or music should be taught to children, because India, that is the Hindustan, that is having the richest tradition in music. And now even the West or the other countries are also coming to India to learn the Hindustan music. In spite of having traveled all over the world, Khan Sahib, as he is fondly called or lovingly called. So Bismillah Khan is lovingly called as Khan Sahib, is exceedingly fond of Banaras and Dumruns, and they remain for him the most wonderful towns in the world. A student of his once wanted him to head a Shehnai school in USA, and the student promised to recreate the atmosphere of Banaras by replicating the temples there. But Khan Sahib asked him if he would be able to transport river Ganga as well. Later he is remembered to have said, "That is why whenever I am in a foreign country, I keep yearning." So over here it has been said that he loves to travel, or he has traveled plenty of places. But one thing to be for sure, that the most wonderful places for him are only two, and that is the Banaras and Dumruns. And moreover to that, when one of his student residing in USA told that he would be making same thing over there and he should open a Shehnai school, at that time Khan Sahib asked that would he be able to transport river Ganga also over there. So over here, I keep hearing to see Hindustan, while in Mumbai, I think of only Banaras and the Holy Ganga. And while in Banaras, I miss the unique Matha of Dumrans. So over here, what he misses the most is that place. So wherever he goes for any sort of concert or any sort of work, he always misses his hometown where he is near to the nature, near to Holy Ganga. Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of the rich cultural heritage of India, one that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at Kashi Vishwanath temple. So we can see that India is really very rich in the cultural heritage, that how effortlessly a Muslim devotee is accepting that he is offering his prayers every morning at Kashi Vishwanath temple. This is how we can say that our India is incredible. Yes, over here we are not divided by any sort of religion. We are always connected to each other in all aspect, and nothing can divide us. Because of this thing, we can say that our India is incredible. So, dear students, this is all about the explanation of the chapter. I hope you understood it. If you still find any doubts or difficulties, you can comment down in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day, everyone.